Get started. My name is Bill Clements. Professionally go by William, but everyone calls me Bill. It's kind of funny about my name. I teach computer information technology classes and computer science classes. So I work in the industry as a computer scientist, computer engineer. So I'm a full-fledged computer geek in all terms.
I like your pie.
I thought it was appropriate for the education. I'm going to be teaching or discussing, we'll be discussing excuses and how we can help students overcome those excuses. So to start off with, I'd like to tell you guys a story. My very first presentation class that I took was in middle school, and the teacher required us to point out 4 things about this presentation and a summary statement. So it's a pretty simple presentation. Anybody that has ever gone through the youth program of the church should be able to do this speech easily, right? So I thought I'd be clever and do a presentation on how to get a one-legged A on my presentation. Does everyone know what a one-legged A is?
Yes. Yeah.
An F. So I proceeded to tell about 4 or 5 different excuses in my presentation of how I would get a one-legged A in the presentation. Of course, I got a 2-legged A because I fulfilled all the requirements for the presentation. But it was kind of a fun thing to do, and everyone in the class enjoyed it. From procrastination to I wasn't motivated, I stayed up late watching TV, all these normal excuses that we all face. So last semester, one of the inspirations I had for this class was because of last semester, for some reason, I got a lot of excuses. And it's just kind of funny. Every week, I'd share the excuses with my wife, and we'd just sit there, not to be empathetic, but they were kind of funny sometimes. So I'm going to proceed to share some of those. One more story, sorry. I went to a conference, and this changed my perspective on excuses. The conference basically was about leadership and training, how to take ownership. And this phrase, you see it up there in the corner, excuses are well-planned lies. Kind of hit a nerve, right? Because, I grew up in the Scouts, you're supposed to be trustworthy, right? You went on a mission, you're supposed to be trustworthy. But to lie, that kind of hits your ego. So I try not to do any more excuses, because every time I do, I find myself doing that. We all do it. I'm like, I'm lying. I need to stop. So I'll share some of the excuses I had last semester. I just arrived home from camping all weekend where I had no internet access. Can I turn in my assignment?
What do you do?
I'm like,
that. Do you let them?
No. That particular one, no. They had all week to do it. I'm sorry that I haven't turned in any assignments. I'm preparing for court.
Oh.
Of course, there was a bunch more explanation of that. I summarized it there. I was like, okay, I have empathy for you. You've got 1 or 2 days to turn it in. Go for it, please. So yeah, my wife and I have been at a self-help conference all weekend. Mentioned my homework. I'm like, you knew about this conference beforehand. Sorry, can't. So, my mother hid my textbooks. She doesn't like me going to school.
That's real. That is really creative.
It wasn't creative. There was like 3 or 4 paragraphs about this poor kid. And I was just like, wow, all right. From apartment, the family was separated, and this student had to go from one house to the next house, and the mother wasn't supporting it, and I had a lot of apathy for this individual, so I let him turn it in a little late. But again, You'll see throughout the whole theme of this is you guys will have to determine that by case basis. And I kind of analyze it toward the gospel, is how will the Savior accept our reasoning for doing things? And it's kind of interesting just trying to deal with students on these type of levels and how it applies to the gospel. So next slide. I don't feel like spending my time recording answers to questions that aren't very beneficial. Right? Sorry, no. The reason why you have these questions is because they're beneficial and you're gonna learn from them. So no. Mother-in-law and father-in-law died within a month of each other. I will talk about that a little later about bereavement and how we should handle that. Or there actually isn't an official policy on that. It's, again, it's up to you guys' discretion. So I know at work we have a bereavement policy. I work full-time at Northrop Grumman as a software engineer. There's a full bereavement policy, you get 2 or 3 days off. We don't have that in this academic world. I teach for several other schools and they don't have that policy either. So again, it's case by case basis. So I have a disability migraine and I've done nothing but lay in the dark room all day. Again, we're going to talk about disability requirements. There's other presentations about that, so I'll just briefly go over it. When I was first diagnosed with cancer, the student actually emailed me several times throughout the semester saying that she was in the hospital having cancer and such. And I'm like, you need to talk to the department and the school about medical reasons for continuing with your education. So I want to inform you that I've been down with malaria for the past 3 days. I've not been able to work. This one actually was quite interesting. At first, I didn't believe it. I'm like, 3 cases of malaria. Right, that's a good one. Until I found out he was from Ghana. Changes the whole perspective, didn't it? Your whole paradigm just shifted as soon as you said he's from another country. It kind of changed your perspective, and that we are in a very unique situation here at BYU-Idaho. We are a global campus with different time zones, with different resources that those individual students have. And it's kind of amazing once you realize there's some challenges these students have that you have to have a lot of apathy for, and empathy. So, am I saying that word right?
Empathy.
Empathy, sorry. Empathy. Okay, so what I found about the BYU-Idaho, some of the current policies they have, be honest in all your behavior. Again, it goes back to that quote in the slides. Prepare students for lifelong learning, for employment, and for the roles of citizens and parents. How many times have I find myself all the time giving excuses to my kids of not doing something or something like that. And I have to go back and I have to apologize to my kids about that. But again, if we're preparing them to be professionals in their field, we need to know that excuses are not acceptable except for certain cases. So I'm going to go over a few things about acceptable reasons. I call them reasons versus excuses. There's some things you just can't change. Bereavement, talked a little bit about that. Special needs, medical emergencies. There's also some cases where you have to consider these students are working part-time. So they have to juggle both school and work. I know I'm getting called in at work at odd hours, so my time change does flex. There is a possibility, I don't know about your courses. My courses, I have all the assignments that are available the whole week, so the students have the ability to manage their time on that. So, but they're due at the end of the week. You got to prepare yourself for such emergencies. If you know something at work's going to happen, or if you know that your work requires you to come in at certain times, say you're on call or whatever, those students need to be able to prepare for that. Oh yes, first semester online students, there's always that transition of going from in-person classes or from high school or from I haven't gone to school in a very long time to online learning, which is a different paradigm shift in the learning model for a lot of the students that I've come across. So, again, I open up, are there any other, yes?
Every semester I have, it seems like 4 or 5 students that are either getting married or having a baby or their spouse is having a baby.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how you all handle that, because I don't handle it so sympathetically. You knew you were having a baby, you knew you were getting married.
Yes.
Yes.
I got married in the middle of the semester. So,
Did you still do your work? Did you expect?
plan ahead. No, I did not expect the professor to.
I had a baby in the middle of the semester last semester, so the students who had babies, like, I didn't get as many excuses that semester.
Right.
I sent an email, I was like, hey, I had my baby yesterday, so I'm back on, ready to go.
I had 2 kids in the middle of finals. So, yes.
I don't know if this is a good, acceptable reason, but I get a lot of technology, you know,
Oh,
they,
yes.
but they email me at about 11:50 Saturday night and say, iLearn has been down, or
Right.
iLearn is down right now, and I'm thinking,
Or my computer crashed
Yeah.
and it's, I
Or
couldn't get
just
it back from the.
got a virus, yeah.
Someone stole my computer.
Do you have a comment on that?
One of the things I'm involved in is emergency communications.
Okay.
And one of the things that we stress is having a plan B.
Yes.
Exactly.
You better have a plan B. I stress this to my students. You better have a plan B because Murphy will prevail. Murphy is an optimist.
Murphy is the best at messing things up.
And so if your computer goes down, make sure you have access to another one. If your internet goes down, make sure you know where you can get access to.
Right.
And that is not at 11:50 on Saturday night.
Right.
11:50 is not a good time to start your homework,
Right.
No.
especially when they do iLearn's maintenance
Mhm.
on Saturday night. Yes. Oh, sorry, I'll get back to you.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I've also been telling my students to set a new deadline for themselves, like noon on Saturday is when they have to have their homework done, so that they have that leeway if there is a problem.
Right.
And then when they contact me at 11:50 p.m. at night, I said, I thought your deadline was at noon, sorry. Oh,
Good one. Yes.
Well, one thing I was trying to ask you, are you familiar with Adam's study?
Adam's study?
Right. The
No.
grandmother hypothesis?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
Can
yes,
you
well,
brief that real quick?
grandmothers have a unusual propensity for dying right around finals or midterms, especially high risk for students who are not doing well. There's actually a study that's been done on this.
Oh, my goodness.
I've always debated whether or not to put a disclaimer in my course saying that there's a chance that one of your relatives might die during my course. But there was legal ramifications of that and I didn't want to address it. Yes.
I was gonna say, one of the things that I found helpful with technology excuses is I will go and look at their activity log on iLearn, and if they didn't do anything for the entire week until like noon on Saturday, then, you know, or, but if they were like getting on every week and doing things and reading things and working on stuff, I don't know.
Again,
And I'll get on if they say, oh, I got locked out of a quiz, or oh, I opened it up, I didn't see anything that locked me out, and then I'll open up and be like, oh, it's open for like 5 minutes, like, you know, that's enough time to have like looked at it, and then.
Again, you'll see the thing throughout this whole presentation is as professional teachers, and again, I use that word respectfully for everyone here. It is up to you to determine that.
Well, and they're surprised, I just let them know what I can see, they're surprised what I can see on iLearn,
Right.
and then I look at that stuff.
If you call them on it, they're not gonna call on it again. Yes,
I was just gonna add, I've been hit by earthquakes, floods, and fires in the last week, actually. So
that's kind of cool.
sometimes combined.
There's a disaster, in the IT world, we call that disaster recovery plan.
Yeah.
Mitigate the risk thing. Yes,
I've had some advice once to give students one freebie, and then at that point, you kind of evaluate if they're taking advantage of
I had that
that. And it's really helped a lot, because we all have things come up, and And I have had students who take advantage of it, and then at some point I'm saying, I've given you, these chances, at this point, you cannot have an extension on taking the test too
I have
quickly.
an unwritten policy on that. It's called the get out of jail free card. Monopoly, right? Everyone understands that principle pretty well.
A mulligan.
Yes, mulligan. All right, so I'm going to go over some of the resources we have available here at BYU-Idaho, both online. According to the Dean of Students, actually, I thought this was kind of interesting. It is the university's policy that we do not excuse any absence for any reason, but we will notify all of your instructors to advise them of your situation and hope that they will work with you. Pretty straightforward there, right?
I'm sorry, where was that?
Huh?
Where was that at?
Dean of Students, missing classes? So, bringing up the non-fuzzy version of that.
That kind of surprises me though, because what about athletics obviously not athletics here, but what if they have a disability? I could have a student who's got some kind of terrible disease and.
I will talk about this
constantly-
disabilities in a second.
Yeah, it's special.
Yeah. I'll get to that. Go fine. Okay. Online learning, I wasn't able to find anything specifically about online learning and absences and excuses and such. Online, I do know that working with my OCR, that it depends on the number of courses that particular OCR wants to help implement. So ask your OCR what other courses are doing to implement different ways of mitigating excuses. Generally though, you want, if you are in a set of courses that have multiple course sections, you want to be able to be as consistent as possible throughout all courses. So work with your OCR on those particular issues that you face. Tutoring is available for students. So if they need help, there's online tutors. I've had several classes where they interact with the tutors. On other occasions, there wasn't any tutors available for those particular courses. So again, find out what resources are available by contacting. Again, this should be under course, resources, academic support. There's also library resource guides. Libraries begging people to have them help students. So disabilities. If you get a letter from Nate Reese, follow the instructions, contact the student, work with the student, see how you can help them. Again, I have one student, had several different types of disabilities. Again, my best thing is to take their word on it. Again, they're honest, they applied, they had the humility to contact these people. They're contacting you, work with them, have some compassion on them. So did you have a further question on that?
I guess I just feel like this one student I have this semester is milking it for all it's worth. I mean, every single thing, it's like, I need more time. And it kind of seems like, I don't know where to really draw the line. I've just been letting her do it. And she's a really good student, just getting an A, but.
If they don't have the letter, I don't think.
Well, she does have a letter.
Oh,
okay.
It just seems like, I don't
That's
know.
a-
It just seems like, how are you functioning in life if you're really this sick? I don't.
Right.
Contact me.
Again, I commend them for attempting to take the class. I think it's awesome that they're doing that. Again, if they struggle, I try to work with them as best I can. I have a sister that gets migraines. I have a sister-in-law that has disability. She's on disability. So I have some compassion for that. But again, it's case by case basis. Did you have a comment? I'm sorry.
You can contact Nate and ask him exactly what is acceptable, because they need to be able to, if we're producing people who should be employable, and if they're not able to reach certain standards, then they may be in the wrong industry, and you don't want to graduate them, and then they can't get a job.
Yes.
So you have to keep that in, talk to him and ask him what's reasonable here, and he's really good about working with that.
So I'm going to put in a plug for that. The next session, Nate's actually doing a session on this.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So I had a student like that, and the letter said give her extra time, but it was really like ambiguous extra time. And so it was 9 days and she hadn't taken the test yet and she wasn't answering my emails. And so I actually contacted them. It was someone else's name on there, but I emailed them at Disability Services and they called me back within like 2 or 3 hours and we talked about it. That he said one of the most important things is to try and sit down with the students at the very beginning of the semester and like make a plan. Like, okay, well, you know, what are the things that you struggle with? Okay, if this comes up, this is what we're going to do. Okay, you have migraines, then, you know, we can give you an extension up to 1 day or up to 2 days. And you know, he said in general, in most cases, the extension really shouldn't be much more than 1 or 2 days.
Right.
And to remember that it's about equality of access, but it's not about equal academic success. Like, so, and that's something that I tried to do with my student afterwards, you know, halfway through the semester. We really should have just sat down and made a plan. What's our plan going forward?
Okay. Set the expectations up front and you can help the students succeed a lot better. I had a very interesting conversation this morning at breakfast about handling discussions and homework expectations. And I don't remember the guy's name, but he mentioned that he will mark 0 on the first assignments if they don't complete everything the way that they should be, and they should contact him. And that way it shocks the students, because the first assignment is now 0, they're going to contact you, and now you've set the expectations, and they will rise to it and hopefully exceed that. So, again, disability, next session, needs. Not the specialist on this. So, medical deferment, if your student becomes sick, cancer, whatever, have them contact admissions about medical deferment. Uncommon issues, generally unacceptable work. I like this one. I'll find a picture later for this particular slide. Procrastination. Can't accept that, sorry. I do have apathy.
Yeah, be empathy.
Empathy, sorry.
Empathy means no emotions.
No, sorry, empathy. Empathy, sorry.
They have.
Case by case, yeah, I'm trying to be fair for the class and try to help these students become professionals. And again, as I mentioned earlier, this is kind of a lesson on the atonement and how, you know, we are kind of judging these students in the form of the judgment role making things. So it's kind of a humbling experience when you're grading these and then trying to challenge these with the excuses they give you. And you're like, yes, no, sorry. So, one of the things that I always have fun with is at the end of the semester when you have that bordering grade of from a C to a B or a B to an A.
And they write and say, can't you just raise it
Just a little bit, yeah. Again, you'll have to make that call. So I brought that up as an issue because a lot of times I get students like, what can I do as extra credit to get that bumped up?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, if I did that, I have to make that an entire policy. And sorry, yes.
I totally believe in rounding up if it's like a 0.9, but we just talked in our department yesterday about the problem of grade inflation. And teachers just saying, okay, I'll just give them the next higher grade. And
If you round up, you should round down too.
Yeah. Well, what type? I work in the computer industry, and when you divide by an integer, you round down. So do you really want them to round?
However, it's what you're grading, at least for what we grade, is very subjective.
Yes.
And so sometimes it's like, well, maybe I was having a bad day that day. And it's a little lower than, you know, 1 point something. And so I'll go back and I'll look at the assignments and see if I can eke out an extra point here or there.
I do one of those are one of my techniques. I do several different techniques just to make sure that there's no question about their grade. So yeah.
Sometimes your course, I know my course really likes to round up, and so I didn't know that until I asked, but now I round up because he does on his on-campus class, and I mean.
Yeah, talk to your course lead. Yeah, absolutely. Again, consistency is students like consistency. Yes.
The same thing with when I've had course lead said, well, let's normalize the scores. What does that do then if you've got all A's?
Brings you back there.
just like that. So, I mean,
Statistics is fun.
oh, I teach it.
So I gotta get through a couple more of these slides. So, again, world issues, time zones are a big issue. Country resources, electricity. Again, this guy in Ghana, the only way he could get to work on his course was he had to actually go to work because he had no electricity. So, and then he had malaria. So.
Well, and I think we're gonna do a lot more, we'll have more students in that
Oh yeah, that situation.
as time goes on.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that should be something the school needs to address at some point. So, again, personal preferences. My personal preferences dealing with part-time students work. Again, I work part-time as a professor and work full-time. I have a family and a calling, so I understand time management. I don't accept that as an excuse, but I try to help the students understand that. Bereavement, I usually give them 2 to 3 days. That's most works policy. Every company works for 2 to 3 days. But again, they have to get that assignment. If they don't do it, I can't grade what they don't turn in. So, again, I don't have extra credit. I feel it's only good for A students. Like, oh, you got an A++. I bet you can. Statistics. Okay, so taking ownership. I came across this quote. What motivates? Motivates. So you got to find out what motivates the students. Why are the students taking the class? The difference between being responsible and taking ownership. So I was always told that I should be responsible when I was growing up. That only goes so far. Then I realized taking ownership of something completely changes the paradigm of your course. I take ownership of my course. I'm not responsible for my course. You guys understand that, the difference between that? A captain of a ship takes ownership of that ship. So, some ways to find out about the motivations of your students. Introductory discussion. How they introduce themselves. If all they write is 3 sentences, I'm majoring in computer science and I'm not very interesting, ask them more questions. I came across an acronym, which I thought was really cool. It's easy to remember. It's called FORM. It's great for filling out a form. It's family, occupation, recreation, and what type of message you want to send them. So family, occupation, recreation, and the message. So when you're trying to find out what they want, why they're taking a class for motivation, find out about their family, find out about what they want to do, what do they do for fun, because pretty much you can analyze any of your subjects into what they do for fun. So, enthusiasm, be enthusiastic about your field. I'm sure you all are. We're all here. So try to express that to your students as much as possible. Questions. I like questions. So thoughts lead to actions, actions lead to habits. My question is, where do questions come from? Where do thoughts come from? Let's start with that. Where do thoughts come from? Beliefs? I came across emotions. I came across they come from questions. Thoughts come from questions. And then they also come from those two too, but one form of thoughts come from questions. Where do questions come from? Smashing 2 ideas together in a big atomic explosion. So, ask questions, it gets people thinking, gets their mind engaged, motivates them. Again, taking ownership, again, master of your ship, commander of your destination. The reason why that student is in your class is they have a dream they want to fulfill. Whether it be in their field of expertise or something else, as soon as you find out what that dream is, what their destination is, you can then engage the student much better. You have a working relationship with them. And how is this class going to get them there, right? Help them understand how this class is going to get them there. once they take ownership of that, it's smooth sailing for them. So time to share. Even as a parent, a teacher, a youth leader, I am not the expert in the room. Okay. What is your policy about work? Some of you guys have already mentioned that. Do you have any unwritten rules? Yes.
I had an experience this semester that I feel good about how it was handled. I had a student who did not access the class for the first 4 weeks of class.
Thanks.
And of course, I emailed her every single week, and finally, week 4, she emails back and says, I've had some problems and I still want to take the class. So, at this point, I'm like, oh no, what am I gonna do? So I prayed about it, and I didn't email her back right away. I really did need to think about it and mull it over in my mind. And I came up with an answer, and because I teach for Pathway, and the Pathway office had contacted her as well, what's going on, why aren't you taking the class? Maybe you should drop it, And so I decided, well, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she really was having some really bad problems. She couldn't access the class before week. So I said, here's the plan. If you still really want to do this, I will, as soon as you are up to date on turning in your assignments for this week, I will open up the previous week. As soon as those are up to date, I will open up the previous week to that. I'm going backwards. But in the meantime, you have to stay current on your current assignments. So she dropped the class. So I mean, to me, it was a really good way to be mindful and to be, have empathy or whatever for her, and yet still put it in her hand. It's not me. It's all on her. It's not. And as soon as she does her part, then I will continue to allow her to do more. So.
Great solution.
Just to tag on, because that helps us. Sometimes I think that our students don't have a realistic vision of what it means to catch up, what it means to, what that workload really would require. So I think that probably helped her to see.
If she was expecting you to just say, oh, fine, don't worry about it, that would not be a service to her.
No, exactly.
I came across a personal experience in trying to catch up. Taking seminary class. I moved around a lot when I was a kid. I had 4 different high schools in 4 different states. My junior year, my seminary teacher said, look, you fall behind in seminary. I need you to catch up. It took me 2 weeks to catch up. I was spending all the day Saturday and the evenings to catch up on that. And from that point on, I'm like, okay, catch up is bad. So I'm forward with that. So it actually helped me in my college career. Any other comments? Yes.
Well, at the beginning of the semester, I always tell my students, this is not a correspondence course.
Right.
And what that means is you have assignments, you have deadlines for those assignments. You will not get a passing grade if you don't turn things in on time, which means you have to manage your time throughout the week. Sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't. I also send out the syllabus and the course schedule as in the email. So it seems like they don't go through the files, they don't look at all the stuff that's there as resources.
One of the functions of iLearns, and also when to the new Desire to Learn system, is you can set a limit, basically a stop. They have to look at that page before they can go on to the next page.
Perfect.
You can do that now.
That's already, that's already.
That's what I said, it's in iLearns, but it'll also be in D2L.
Right.
So, so that way they're guaranteed that they've seen it. Again, like I like the response from the guy earlier in breakfast. It's like, if they don't turn in everything complete, he'll give them a 0 and then say, contact me once you've read this and we can discuss it. Again, it gives them that shock factor of, ooh, I got a 0 on that assignment. I need to contact my professor. So again, you guys have that expectation. So in closing, excuses are what?
Lies.
Well-planned lives.
Well planned.
Right, well-planned life. Resources?
Yeah.
Lots of resources here. You are-
Yeah.
what motivates? Motivates. And again, what is your policy? Establish that, write it up in your syllabus, write it up in your teacher's notes. Make sure that it's well clear on those sort of things. If you have a get out of jail free card, mention that. You only get one, right? So tell the students, you only get one, so once you use it on a quiz, use it on a discussion, you use it on a homework assignment. I usually don't allow it on a project that's too big, so it's a small thing. So again, thank you for your time. Okay, and thank you. So,